I'm Ron Drotos from KeyboardImprov.com, and thanks for joining me here for God Bless the Child, Billie Holiday classic that is our journey through the real book, number 136. And I can tell I'm on getting towards halfway through the book because my real book, this is the new version which I got just to do this series 2 years ago, it's already falling apart. The back is totally off. Don't even have the back cover. And I love it. For me, it's kind of like a badge of honor. It's showing that we use the book, you know? That's what happens with these books, you know? I think it's great. Just read a good story about this. The novelist J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter books, she was at a book signing at one point, and there's, a long line of people wanting her to sign the autograph their book. And this woman, the mother, came in without her kids and had a really battered copy of one of the books. It was practically falling apart. And she showed it to J.K. Rowling and she said, this is really my son's book. The kid was, 10 or 12 years old. But he's embarrassed because the book is falling apart. He didn't want you to see that he had done this to the book. So he's waiting in the car while I come in and sign it. And J.K. Rowling says, please, go get your son and bring him in. So the lady goes out, gets the son, brings him in to J.K. Rowling. She goes, I am so honored that you read my book so much and spent so much time with that it's falling apart. She thought that was great as a novelist, a writer, someone who loves to read. So I think it's like this too. If you have a real book that's falling apart, it means you use it, right? Hopefully it means you use it. So God Bless the Child, 1939. It says 41 here, but I believe it was written in 39 from what I researched. But you never know when it was copyrighted, maybe until later. Anyway, just before America's involvement in World War II, to give us some historical perspective. In New York City, Arthur Herzog Jr. and Billie Holiday composed this together. It has a big range for a Billie Holiday tune. It's basically 11th. She didn't have a huge range, and a lot of her versions, like All of Me, she stayed in a certain range. I knew one of her friends, Joyce Bryant, who was a great vocalist. I worked with her in the early 90s, and she told me that she spent a lot of time with Billie Holiday. Like I said, they were friends, and I said to her, Joyce, did Billie Holiday have a small vocal range? Is that one of the reasons why she changed all these melodies? And she said yes, and she was terrified everybody would find out. Now I think people have figured it out, but not during her lifetime, She had a small vocal range, but she made the best of it. So God Bless the Child is one of these tunes that's crossed over to the like gospel singers. If they're going to sing a standard, they will do something like this, maybe because of the lyric. It can also be done very, very bluesy, like that. And I used to play it with a gospel singer. We actually changed the second chord to a B flat minor 7. We used to do it. Which really works with the drums. Boom, 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 da, da, da. Really works well. But when I play in a jazz context, people know these chords, and they're really beautiful. It goes from the major 7 to the dominant 7 and then the 4. So it has this sort of rocking back and forth, maybe like a child being rocked in a bassinet or in somebody's arms. Never occurred to me before. God Bless the Child. It's comforting. It's a very comforting chord progression and rhythm. I also enjoy sometimes on these kind of tunes, especially if the lyric has a little more of it's not a love song, it's more of a spiritual, comforting kind of lyric. Go back to the style of those old spirituals, like, sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Or Summertime was based on that, based on Motherless Child, pretty much. So there's a whole tradition of spirituals church songs at that time that were similar to jazz or influenced jazz. They actually were part of the music that jazz grew out of. So we can kind of go back to that tradition. You could play this like a spiritual. Sort of get right on that line where it can go a little more jazzy, a little more bluesy, a little more like a spiritual, and everywhere in between, and play with these different shades. It's like if you were holding a kaleidoscope and you have like 3 colors in there, red, green, blue, right? And they're forming different combinations as you turn it. It's the same thing with this jazz, blues, spirituals. You turn it and you can go in between and throughout them. That's one thing I love to do when I'm playing music, so explore that as well. And here we go. God bless the child. endings in that you don't sometimes know where they're going to go. You know, how are you going to, you know, sometimes you end with a very jazzy chord. Sometimes you end with just the triad. And I think part of the fun for me is letting the music kind of go where it wants to go, rather than me saying, oh, I've got to end big, or I've got to end bluesy, or I've got, you know, surprise yourself as you play. It's fun. The music has momentum of its own. And if we don't try to always control it, we often play better because it's unfolding in ways that aren't like, okay, I've got to play like this, you know. So there you go. Blues, spirituals, jazz, ballads, everything in between. A tune like this can take us there. Thanks for being here. If you want more individual or step-by-step jazz instruction, check out KeyboardImprov.com. That's my website. And it's nice to have you here, and good luck with your music as you explore any of these tunes.